From the University of Alabama, this is Crimson Tide Today. It's a daily update on Bama sports and it's brought to you by The Good Feet Store. The Good Feet Store, helping people get back to the life they love without their feet getting in the way. Start your journey today at goodfeet.com. Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. As we get ready for Friday night's gymnastics meet against LSU, here are thoughts from head coach Ashley Johnston.
Yeah, it's an exciting week. We are taking on LSU, the reigning national champions, in our house. And so we have a lot to be excited about this week. We've learned a ton over the last 4 weeks. We've had, we're 4 meets in. We have 7 regular season meets to go before we head into a postseason run. And, as I look at going into this season, we had a fairly inexperienced team. And there's no way to gain experience until you just get in there and you start practicing in tough moments. And this team has learned a lot over these last 4 weeks. There's been some smoother lessons. There's been some harder lessons. We've faced quite a bit of adversity, some that we could control and some that we just couldn't control. And it's all about how you respond. It's all about how you come together. It's all about how you have a we over me mentality.
I'll have more in a moment.
This is Christian Miller for The Good Feet Store. I know from playing football at Alabama and in the NFL that if you have foot, knee, hip, or back pain, it can be a huge challenge. The Good Feet Store is designed to personally fit you with arch supports that alleviate and even eliminate your pain altogether. Try them before you buy them. They're in your free, no obligation, personalized fitting, and you can wear them home the same day. So if you're looking to improve your game, the Good Feet Store has you covered. Stop in for a free, personalized fitting today. Roll to victory at goodfeet.com. That's goodfeet.com. Roll Tide.
Join us this afternoon for Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, streaming live at 2 p.m. Central on all CTSN social media platforms at UA_CTSN. Crimson Tide Today is brought to you by The Good Feet Store. Crimson Tide Today is a production of the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
And just like that, it is 7:01 on a Thursday morning. It's Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond with you for 2 hours here on a Thursday morning. Welcome in, 256-576-4977. You can join us. That's how you can be a part of the program. You can be a part of the fun, the show. You can be a part of everything for the next 2 hours. We've got a lot of stuff to get through. We got to set the stage for Super Bowl 59 some more. We've also got to talk college basketball, and we got some college football conversation. And yesterday, Drew DeArmond, the focus, and it wasn't intended, but a lot of the conversation was centered around one Jalen Milroe yesterday. It was, and we were talking about his draftability. We were talking about his college career. Little did we know after we left the show yesterday that one Jalen Milroe would make his way where we were supposed to be, by the way. We were supposed to be in New Orleans at this time, making his way around Radio Row for Super Bowl 59. We did not know that would happen, and he did, and he said some things, and we're going to hear from Jalen Milroe here in a second. But, man, that was like perfect timing on our part.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good timing, no doubt. He had some very poignant things to say about his future in football and really his past coming up and developing as a player. No doubt about that. But certainly, we could have been in New Orleans. You sound a little bitter, Scott, that we did not make it to New Orleans. But,
I'm close.
Yeah,
I am here in Cleveland, Mississippi. That's closer, I guess, than Huntsville.
Yeah, maybe. And that was, as you know, I sat in on the drive yesterday for the entire 2 hours, and I know you guys went through Drew, Mississippi, which, of course.
I did not.
Okay, that's right, because Steve went a different way. Tokyo Drift went a different way.
Yes.
He had to get there to set up, and you were on the bus. But Drew, Mississippi, actually the home of Archie Manning. There you go. So
really?
Yes.
Wow.
As soon as I saw the sign, that's the thing. The first thing that clicked in my head was, wow, you guys, Steve went through the home of Archie Manning.
That's impressive that you can just do that.
Yeah, well, that's why a lot of my friends, as I said on the show yesterday, they can't stand it because they can't stand the Mannings. But yeah, I mean, he's from Drew, Mississippi, and probably the best athlete to ever come out of there.
Drew, Mississippi.
Yeah.
All right, so one of the funniest comments that Jalen Milroe had yesterday was he was asked by Pro Football Focus, or Pro Football Talk, I should say.
Right.
About switching positions, if it was ever in consideration. And here was Jalen Milroe when asked about whether or not he would ever consider switching positions.
It's those things, those going to allow me to be better.
Was it always quarterback? Was it like,
Always.
because when the first time I heard about you, people were like, man, he's a good quarterback, but he's a great athlete. He might end up playing some other position. But in your mind, it was never anything but that.
It's always a quarterback. Of course, the questions asked, switching positions, stuff like that, what I can do. But you never ask a zebra to be a dog.
Right. I hear that.
Well,
there you go.
I heard the quote yesterday. Excuse me. Sorry, I hit the mute button there, but probably because I was laughing. But again, he's never wanted to switch positions. It's like Tim Tebow.
Right.
Tim Tebow was an outstanding college player. Didn't try to switch positions until very late in his athletic career, let's just say, because he played baseball, as you know, for a while, professional baseball, and he reached AAA, and he came back for one last hurrah with Urban Meyer in Jacksonville and tried to reinvent himself as a tight end, which I think if he'd have done shortly after he, did not make it as a starting quarterback in the NFL, I think he could have stayed in the National Football League and not if he hadn't tried baseball. But again, that's just me. I thought Tebow had the toughness and the skill set to do that. But Milroe's always been a quarterback as well. I mean, I understand his line of thinking, but I'll just say he has not developed, and gotten markedly better. He has improved some, but he still has a long way to go from the neck up and, from an accuracy and decision-making standpoint, throwing the ball with touch, anticipation, and on time. He struggled with that his entire career. That's why I said I wouldn't take him with a top 3 pick. I wouldn't invest that kind of money in him, like a top 3 rounds. If you're going to take him, he needs to be a project, and then he needs to be brought along slowly. But the problem is that used to be done some in the NFL. It's not really done that way anymore. They want to fast track everybody. And I think they have tried to simplify the game some, which is to his advantage. But again, I just don't see it, man. I mean, I thought at the Senior Bowl, it was the same issues that were glaring. And his lack of pocket presence, giving up, holding on to the ball too long, getting sacked. I just don't know, man. I just think whoever drafts him, you're going to have to be really patient with him. And again, I wouldn't draft someone in the first, second round, especially, and even the third, because you see a lot of those guys getting opportunities to start. And I just don't think that's where he is right now. And I'll be quite frank. Everybody's wondering if he can play another position. I said this about Jalen Hurts. I didn't think Jalen Hurts could play another position because people ask him about that because I didn't think he was fast enough to move to receiver or even big enough to go to tight end. And then you look at running back. He ran the ball well, but he doesn't run the ball like a running back. Like Tim Tebow, you could have seen Tim Tebow being a fullback. Okay.
Yes.
But,
well, and look, it was too late when he did it.
Yeah.
But Tim Tebow did try to play tight end.
Yeah, that's what I was
smidge.
saying. He did at the very end of his athletic career with Urban Meyer and the Jacksonville Jaguars. But I couldn't have. I just
that was a good tenure.
I didn't see Jalen Hurts being able to move to another position. I just felt like it was quarterback and that was it. That's what he'd always played, and he just didn't seem like a fit. Or on defense, because look, he'd never really we had never seen him play defense. He didn't play with the physicality of a Tim Tebow. Now, with Milroe, it's almost the same thing. And of course, his idol is Jalen Hurts, but he never tried to run through people much in college as far as when he was running the football. He doesn't have great lateral quickness and change of direction. He's very stiff, in his ankles. Now, if he breaks free, we all know I mean, he has speed. He's faster than Jalen Hurts, okay? He can go 80 yards. The only position I could maybe see him trying due to that speed is wide receiver, but we've never seen him take reps. We've never seen him try to catch the football, so we don't know, or run a route. But that's because I can't see Milroe being a running back, again, because he doesn't make people miss. So the only position I could see Milroe trying out is wide receiver. I'm not sure I can see that either. I think he is a QB, but he just has deficiencies, and it's going to be very interesting to see it with the size, the speed, and he does have an outstanding arm. Is someone going to take that chance and try to develop him? But again, if you do that, I wouldn't invest, first, second, third round pick money, and I would have to sell him on, look, man, this is going to be a process. You're not going to start your first or second year. You've got to develop. And so that's what he's going to have to do. And really that's what he did in college, because he was super raw coming out of high school. He did make some increment improvements. He wasn't, wasn't leaps and bounds, but he did get better. And at least going into from his, his redshirt freshman year to redshirt sophomore year. And then, but I will say, I thought his redshirt junior year, a lot of it was regression. And but like I said on the drive last night, a lot of that is people seeing you and getting film on you and game planning you. And I'll just be honest with you, I don't know how coachable. And then if you listen to the entire comment, and I didn't listen, but I read it, what Milroe said, I mean, to me, he doesn't sound like the most coachable kid in the world. And that's all I'll say.
We got two more little clips to play from that interview, because it was very interesting. He talked about last season at Alabama. He talked about last season and how he thought the year went as far as wins and losses and ups and downs. Here is what he had to say in summary of Alabama's season last year.
So it's a multitude of things that you can think about when it comes to, wins, losses, how games are going. So one way we look at it is the 8% rule, or how efficient were we on third down, the turnover margin, do we win the turnover battle, red zone efficiency, how many sacks, penalties, looking at that. And so during the time where we were elite at that, and then we took care of business and didn't have sacks, didn't turn over the ball, we're able to be efficient on third down. Those are the games that we won. Right. Those are the games that we were able to win by a large margin. Those are the games where we were the best offense in the country. The game where we didn't, that's when we did not place the standard of excellence to the standard that we need to play at. And so one thing I can applaud, although we lost some games this year, we didn't lose any game back to back. So that showed the growth aspect of just acknowledging whatever it took during that week to refresh our memory of how to not lose. We're able to do that.
At least they didn't lose back-to-back games.
What? Every factor that he just went over there were games that he got an F in all those facets. Or a D-.
He put him behind the chains.
Exactly. It was his fault.
A lot of the time.
It wasn't Nick Sheridan's. Jeez. Stop throwing the coach under the bus. We were talking about B.O.B. yesterday. He's like, well, it's tough when your coach says you stink. Because he was right. Because at times he did stink. Now, did he stink all the time? No. And he got that right in the sound bite. He did not. Right. At times he played well, but then at times I would need some, I've got water this morning. Okay. I could need something a lot stronger than that.
What? You got water?
Yeah. Well, of course. Jeez.
Well, he wasn't done there.
Oh, I'm sure he wasn't.
He was asked about if you could go back in your college games. They asked him about looking at all of his college games that he played in. If there was one game that he learned the most from, that he could sit back and say, this is the game, or if you're talking to the scouts or you're talking to these NFL brass, what's the one game that he took away the most from? What game do you think it would be, Drew?
That's a great question, because he never really rallied a team to win a game, honestly. Except for, I guess I'd say Tennessee. I'm going to say Tennessee 2023, because they were down 20-7 at halftime, getting smoked. And then he came out, remember, first drive, he actually climbed the pocket. I hope somebody took a picture of it, or maybe has like a GIF or something, because that's what he's going to need to show the pro scouts. He climbed the pocket and threw like a 48-yard laser to the wide open Texas Longhorn, Isaiah Bond, and got Alabama off to a really good start. They started running the ball, and they came back, as we know, and shut Tennessee out. And won that game 34-20. So I'm going to say 2023 Tennessee and Tuscaloosa came back from a deficit and rallied the team.
All right, here is Jalen Milroe's response.
Didn't even get to the NFL yet.
Hey, if there's one game of yours that you would want NFL scouts to study that would tell your story the best, which one would it be?
USL. Of course, you as a human nature will be your best game.
Right.
How about the game that you learn from, and that you've grown from? And the theme of my life is want to know, just improving and getting better each and every week that I have. And so the thing that I try to highlight is that if I didn't have the proper mindset and proper preparation, I wouldn't have bounced back and be able to lead our team to win against an Ole Miss team that was really talented on offense and really talented on defense as well. And so it's just the leadership aspect that came out, And the thing about me was that the family acronym, forget about me, I love you. And that was the period of time I grew as a player, grew physically and mentally, being able to lead properly. And so it's just the growth aspect of the transition from Texas going into Ole Miss.
He went South Florida, the game he was benched in.
Yeah, I mean, it's /suspended. But, because he was. I mean, that's a fact. I mean, when you're not available and you're 100% healthy, you're suspended. Okay, that's basically your bench /suspended, whatever. But I can see that. I mean, he didn't play in the game, but I mean, he responded as a leader on the sidelines. It's probably the only time I've ever seen him stay invested in a game and be trying to lead when things weren't going well, because that game did not. I mean, that's the only meaningful snaps we ever saw Ty Simpson take, because Tyler Buckner started. Simpson came off the bench and rallied the troops and helped win a very ugly game 10-3. And Milroe stayed, invested in that game, talking to both quarterbacks throughout, because I always thought during his career at Alabama, when he started, if things were going well, there was a lot of energy on the sidelines. When things were going into crapper, then he was, under a tent, sitting on the bench, not talking to anybody. Okay. So again, I think he tried to lead. I mean, I'll say that. I don't really know how effective a leader he was, honestly.
Right.
But
right.
And we're going to find that out now. Again, his what he did in this conversation, talking to the media, he's great at it. He's very well spoken. He knows how to win the media battle, man.
Yes, you get him in this setting, and you can see why when he gets in front of the NFL executives, especially in the combine, and he gets in these rooms and he's sitting there and they are answering and asking him questions, Jalen Milroe will win that battle. He will win that, and he will come out light years ahead of pretty much anybody, because he is really, really good at doing that. He's really good at making you believe and convincing that he is the guy that you want.
No question. And I said this throughout the process, that he would interview really well. And then he'll, in the testing at the combine, 40-yard dash, vertical leap, measurables, when you throw against air, in the 7-on-7 aspect and whatnot. I mean, he should excel. Now, I will say this: in the Senior Bowl week, at times throwing against air, he struggled. And again, but it'll be a little bit different in that situation, because when they were doing true 7-on-7 at the Senior Bowl, which means there was DBs like at the combine. Now, it might not be receivers he's ever thrown to, but there won't be defensive backs. So, I mean, I could see him doing really well with that, as long as he has a good warm up. He maybe does a lot of recon and maybe does some throwing with those dudes beforehand. I could see him going out there and ripping it, because I've said it before. He has a great arm, and he is capable of ripping some. He ripped some throws on that Thursday of the Senior Bowl week that had people oohing and on. But then they played the game, and it was true football, not just 7-on-7, and he struggled. And so that's what's going to be the real interesting part going forward. I mean, I've heard some people continue to say that a GM's going to fall in love with him and draft him in the first round. I guess anything can happen because I didn't see Jalen Hurts going in the second round. I thought he'd get drafted. I thought he might be a third or a fourth round pick. I was leaning more toward fourth, but he went to the Eagles. They fell in love with him. And it was so funny. He was kind of the owner and the GM. I'm not sure the head coach he was aware they were going to take Jalen Hurts. But I will say this, Jalen Hurts, he wasn't the starter right away. He had to wait his turn and work. And I think that helped him. And certainly I think Jalen put in a lot of work. He was always a good intermediate to short passer. He had to work on his deep ball, which I think he did quite a bit. He always had better pocket presence than Milroe, and he's always been a willing runner. The biggest weakness in Milroe's game to me is he's not a willing runner. He'll run if you call a running play for him, and it's not always successful. But he's just not one of these guys that likes to improvise and take off. And Jalen Hurts always would do that, especially if the first or second read was taken. And then he was really good not taking hits, making business decisions, getting out of bounds, and Jalen was always faster than you thought. I mean, I always said he was probably a 4.6, 4.65, but he always made really good decisions, and he had good vision. He would see running lanes, and see in a lot of cases, Milroe doesn't see that. So he has more deficiencies in his game than Jalen Hurts did. He's a better athlete than Jalen, but like I've said before, and I'm talking about Jalen Hurts, but Jalen Hurts is a quarterback. I think Milroe is an athlete trying to play the position. Now, it's one of besides I already said earlier in our conversation, I think wide receiver would be his only other option to me, watching the way he plays the game. But again, we've never seen him run a route. We've never seen him try to catch. So we don't know. But again, I think he's got a lot of deficiencies in his game. And it's going to be one of the more fascinating storylines in the draft to see how the rest of his process goes and then what team drafts him. I still think, I told somebody the other day, the best fit would be somebody like Baltimore because he's always been compared to Lamar Jackson. So Lamar Jackson's still in his prime. So you draft Jalen Milroe as maybe the potential QB of the future. I still don't know. I'm not sure it'd work out. But him, learning behind a guy like Lamar Jackson for a few years, I think would really benefit him.
All right, 7:21 on a Thursday morning. Let's say we get our first break-in of the morning. It's Talking Ball. I am live in Mississippi. Drew is live in Huntsville. We'll pick it back up when we return. It's Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Picked up a new wreck in Priceville in Morgan County, 67 and Upper River Road. Haven't heard a call for an ambulance there, so apparently no injury. Got one Charlie Patterson north of Oscar Patterson. Should have a trooper on the scene of that one. They had a field fire or a woods fire in Decatur behind Blossomwood Apartments on the Beltline. Still may have some fire equipment in that area. You could lose up to 4 sizes in 4 weeks with the 2030 Fast Track Weight Loss Program. Find out more at 2030huntsville.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Hi, this is Wes Neighbors. I'm here with Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Sam, tell the folks about Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Hey, Wes. Our company, Fleming Roofing and Restoration, specializes in commercial and residential roofing and repairs. I'm a fifth-generation Huntsvillian, and our family's been doing construction business in Huntsville area since 1965.
Sam, what kind of roofs does Fleming Roofing and Restoration do?
Our guys are skilled enough. We can come out and address any kind of leaks or issues you might have on your commercial, on your metal roofing, on your shingles. We can do anything, and we can offer you a solution to repair it, or we can replace it.
You guys also do insurance restoration.
Our staff has 10 plus years of experience as insurance adjusters, and we really do know the inside and out of the claims process at Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Check out Fleming Roofing and Restoration online at FlemingHSV.com, or you can call or text them at 256-651-9440.
Hey, Wes, we show up.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
This is Steve Moulton from 97.7 ESPN The Zone, and this is What's Happening. Be sure and download our app. Just search 977 ESPN in your Google Marketplace or your Apple Store, depending on your device, so you can take us wherever you might go. And you can also check out our latest zone deals. Head over to our website, 977ESPN.com. The top left banner reads, "Savings never tasted so good." Click on that, then enter in the Big Zone Deals store for half-off zone deals of Lawler's Barbecue, Sea Salt, Carrabba's Italian Grill, Bubby's Diner, Corlejos Mexican Grill, Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, Divergence, Full Moon Barbecue, Bigfoot Little Donuts, Apple Lane Farms, the Decatur location, an overnight stay at Gunnersville State Park, and rounds of golf at Cherokee Ridge Golf Course and Gunter's Landing. And that's what's happening.
Here in North Alabama, barbecue is a part of what makes our home so special, and great barbecue from Lawler's makes it just that much better. Since 1978, Lawler's has been serving up their delicious barbecued pork, ribs, chicken, ham, and turkey for generations of family get-togethers. Recognized as the best barbecue joint in Alabama for 2 years in a row, Lawler's is thrilled to share their award-winning barbecue for your next family meal or catered event. Order online or stop by any one of their 14 area locations. Lawler's Barbecue, cooked slow, served fast.
This will turn journalism on its ear.
Watch our stream on WZZN TV on Twitch and YouTube.
But you are the greatest hero in American history.
We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone, 7:25 on a Thursday morning. And again, I am sitting here in the wonderful paradise that is Cleveland, Mississippi. You are back in Huntsville, and the reason why tonight the UAH Chargers go for school record win number 21 in a row as they will take on Delta State 7:30. But we'll talk to Mick Hedgepeth at 8:30 to preview this one. And Drew, last night there was some more SEC basketball being played, and 3 games on the docket. Tennessee, Missouri was number 4 versus number 15. That was a ranked matchup. The other 2 were not, but one of those I think was surprising, and that is the Arkansas Razorbacks get a win over Texas, 78-70. It's back-to-back conference wins for John Calipari there in Arkansas. They're just 3-6, but they're trending now in the right direction, is Arkansas, right?
Oh, no question. I mean, it's completely changed the narrative of the matchup coming up, and we'll talk tomorrow with Curtis Wilkerson of Inside Arkansas because, you know, there were people that, with as slow as they started, you know, are they even going to win 3 or 4 games in the SEC, 5? Right. You know, are they even going to come close to being on the bubble? Well, they're back in the bubble conversation now at the very least. They've won 2 straight road games, which are very hard to get in this league. They go to Rupp Arena and they whack Kentucky by 10. And then last night they were really controlled this game throughout. I mean, against Texas, they led by 11 at halftime, and then before you know it, they stretched it to 19 coming out of the locker room. It was pretty much over. I mean, now Texas kept fighting, and I think they got as close as 6 late in the game, or actually 5. I think it was 69-64. But again, Arkansas, you kept them at arm's length the entire game, and now without Boogie Fland, and that sometimes you know, injuries, you would think they would hurt you, but sometimes they help align everything. Arkansas looks like a much different team. They are talented. Everyone already knew that. Now we all know they only have 8 guys. I mean, they got a short bench, no question about it, but they do have talent. and that's 2 straight wins. Texas, I think, had been playing better basketball, but I still don't think they're an upper echelon team in the SEC. And yet, again, Arkansas is playing much better now, and Alabama has to go over to Bud Walton Arena, which is never an easy place to play. And so before they get to Auburn a week from Saturday, you got to go to Fayetteville, and then you got to go back to Austin to play this Texas squad. So, but it was a big win for Calipari, and now they've got a chance to go on a run. And, if they can get to, I'm not going to sit here and say they're about to win out the rest of the regular season. I don't think that's possible. But
there's some bumpy roads ahead of them.
No, there is, but if, they're 3-6. You just mentioned their conference record. So, for example, that means they got 9 games left. What if they go 5-4 on their back half? If you go 5-4, that means that you're 8-10 in the SEC. So that would give them a legit chance of getting in the NCAA tournament, which, 2 weeks ago, that wasn't even a conversation.
Tennessee backs up their win against Florida on Saturday with an 85-81 win over Missouri last night. And then Georgia and Mike White and company, they get an 81-62 win over LSU. So yesterday, on Tuesday, these will get updated tomorrow, by the way, but Joe Lunardi's bracketology on Tuesday came out. We didn't get a chance to touch on it yesterday. But to your point, yesterday, going into their ball game, Arkansas was listed in the next 4 out category. Mm-hmm. So that win probably slides them probably to a first 4 out situation.
Yeah, on the bubble, in other words. Yep.
Drew, that could potentially, are you ready for this? And are you ready that possibly, and it's still early, it's still a lot of basketball left, but that could possibly give the SEC 14 teams legitimately in the NCAA tournament. Is that even possible?
Not after, the meat grinder. I mean, after this all plays out, but I think 14 in the conversation can very well happen. Now, do I think all 14 of them are getting in? Hell no, I don't think that'll happen. I think if you get 10 or 11, you ought to be ecstatic. But I think
the record was 11 set by the Big East in 2011.
Gotcha. So, and again, I just think if you're Arkansas, you breathe life back into your season. To be honest with you, LSU, you just mentioned they lost to Georgia last night. Right now, I would have to say probably that LSU and South Carolina are the only 2 teams that are pretty much guaranteed out of this thing. You know what I'm saying? Okay. And so I think the other 14 are still fighting, still battling, and still got a shot, especially with Arkansas's flurry the last week, winning 2 road games. Now, and then if they beat Alabama, here we go. I mean, because then, because a lot of people, and I do think Calipari has been too slow to change, but a lot of people were just absolutely shoveling it on Calipari, saying, is he done? Well, we've already talked about it this week. We've already seen Jim Larrañaga retire in the middle of a season. Done. His team was awful. Right. He didn't want to deal with the portal. We've heard Leonard Hamilton announce that he will retire at the end of the season. So there's a lot of veteran coaches that are leaving the game. But John Calipari, he's always been an ace recruiter. He seems to be figuring some things out with this team. And like I said, I know it leaves them with only 8 guys, but Boogie Fland not being on the squad, even though he's a supreme talent and likely a first-round draft choice, might be good for this team. It may have streamlined things. It certainly seems to have sparked, DJ Wagner, and especially, in the last 2 games, because he's had double-figure games, and that was what many people thought was their best portal addition. That's John L. Davis, the senior who helped get FAU, to the Final Four a couple of years ago. So he's now playing much better. He's averaging 10.1 points. He played 39 minutes last night, Scott, made 4 threes, scored 24. And if Alabama's getting that dude, then, Arkansas has definitely got a shot. So it's going to be interesting. I can't wait to kind of talk to Curtis Wilkerson tomorrow because he's as close to that situation as any. I watch a lot of their YouTube stuff to get their reaction and how they followed this season. But it's so funny, that I think there was so many people that thought Kentucky, including myself, was going to win the game by 15 plus against Arkansas, and that Arkansas was dead in the water. And now in just, 3 or 4 days time, you realize, nope, that the Arkansas is still very, very much alive.
All right, we got to get a break in, 7:33. When we come back, we're starting to get some comments on X in regards to our conversation that we had at the top of the show on Jalen Milroe. We got a couple comments there on X that we want to get to. Plus, we got phone calls as well. So we want to get all of that in. So let's get a break in. When we come back, we will go to the phone lines and we will go over what you guys are saying in regards to Jalen Milroe. It's all that and more on Talking Balls Thursday edition.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A mostly cloudy sky this afternoon. We are going to get to enjoy a little bit of sunshine, and temperatures once again going to be on the warmer end of the spectrum. Highs consistently climbing into the lower 70s across the Tennessee Valley. A couple of isolated showers certainly can't be ruled out, but there are going to be significant periods of dry time, and some of us could spend the entire day dry. Temperatures only dropping into the mid-50s. Overall, much the same as we head into your Friday. A mostly cloudy sky. We are going to be a little bit cooler, but still well above average. Highs climbing into the mid and upper 60s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a report coming in on 565. This one is between Greenbrier and County Line. 3 vehicles involved. They've got it pulled over to the left side of the road. They had a report of injury there, so I'm not sure what the situation on that one is. Got Jordan southbound at University that should be clearing. From routine care to heart failure, Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialist on Bob Wallace have the expertise to care for all matters of the heart. Captain Eck in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Forgiveness. Wow, what a word. What a gift. All of us have done things in our lives that we regret. All of us have done things that are disobedient. All of us have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Thank God for his forgiveness. Thank God that he separates our sins as far as the east is from the west and remembers them no more. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor at Cross Point Church, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison. Check us out at cpcfamily.org.
Tom Luganville here from my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
The new Cheeseburger Bobby's on Carl T. Jones Drive in South Huntsville is focused on serving great food prepared with the absolute freshest ingredients, featuring classic hamburgers and cheeseburgers with lots of specialty options, chicken and hot dogs, even turkey burgers and veggie burgers, along with fresh cut fries, onion rings, or coleslaw. Always fresh, never frozen, except for the frozen custard. See all the delicious options at Cheeseburger Bobby's for yourself. Check out the menu and more at cheeseburgerbobbies.com.
This is Steve Moulton from 97.7 ESPN The Zone with my friend Brandon Pilcher from Pilcher's Appraisals. Brandon, what exactly do you do?
Steve, I'm an appraiser. I can value a property for you if you're potentially going to sell, and that valuation could also be used to help you with your property taxes.
Thanks, Brandon. Brandon is licensed in Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia. You can contact him at 706-936-3766. Call or text.
Are you trying to find a new house? Are you trying to find the right loan, the right people to do your loan? Look no further than the Bank of Frank Ewing in Hazel Green. John Kendall, the Vice President of Mortgage with me. John, when they need a loan, and I say they, when people need a loan, it's about them.
That's right, Scott. Our whole motto is it's all about you. We're going to be okay. You're the one making the investment. We want to make sure that you're taken care of.
How do they find you?
Give us a call at 256-507-9180, or they can catch us online at bankofFrankEwing.com.
It's Bank of Frank Ewing in Hazel Green, where they take the home loan to you and they make it all about you. Bank of Frank Ewing in Hazel Green is an FDI insured bank as well as an equal housing lender.
NMLS number 446707.
You know, this process is all about talking ball.
Listen to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond.
What did they want privacy for? To just start talking ball.
Every weekday morning, wake up with Scott and Drew. It's Talkin' Ball. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
7:38 on a I wanted to say Monday morning, Thursday morning on Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. 256-576-4977. That's how you can be a part of the fun this morning. And I think, Drew, that's where we're going to go because we're going to visit with Bama Bino real fast. Good morning, sir.
Hey, guys. So you
Morning.
down in Mississippi?
I am not, but Scott is.
I'm in Cleveland, Mississippi, buddy.
Cleveland, yeah. I had a couple of comments, but just off the record here. Over the years, I'm sure Drew knows, if you pay attention, used to they would, if Alabama players, when they'd introduce them, if they made a tackle or a touchdown, they'd say that where they're from, they'd list the team and the city. And Alabama over the years has had some players from Magee, Mississippi, Magee instead of, it's spelled Maggie, but it's Magee. And like defensive backs, dating back for several years to the 80s, I remember seeing a lot. That's close to the Delta if it's not in the Delta. But, yeah, Magee, Mississippi, and Cleveland, Boyle, Mississippi. But anyway, you were mentioning some of what, I guess the comment was, what do you think Hurts learned from or would take the most from or whatever? And you was mentioning South Florida. I would have hoped he would have learned from the Oklahoma game. It doesn't appear he did. But I think one coincidental, if nothing else, reason he learned from the South Florida game is because he realized he had to be on his toes and he might have to compete for a position. And since that point, I don't think he thought that he would ever be took out and had to be on his toes and learn after practice, watch, maybe have a summer camp coach teach him footwork or just improve. And I don't think he ever felt like he was challenged and knew he was going to be in the game no matter what he did in practice or in the game. And so, I believe in giving a player time to make mistakes and know that he don't have to worry about one mistake he's coming out. They've got to be settled into where they know they can concentrate on what they're doing. But if somebody just thinks that they're never going to be replaced and irreplaceable, they're not. You've got to at one point, make a point that you're not doing what you're supposed to. Let somebody else, if for no other reason, for in case of an injury, we need to have somebody that's not just cold turkey. So I just don't think he was challenged. It might have been because he didn't have the competition in practice, but I think we've got two or three there that can do, if you give them a chance, a job, especially with this Texas guy, what's his name, Keelan Russell coming in, and Austin Mack. Maybe we can have some consistency and have two deep at quarterback to where we can at least not, telegraph our passes and can at least not get you beat. And that's all I was going to say. But anyway.
Thank you, Bama Bino. We appreciate the call.
Yes. Thanks, Bama Bino. Yes, thanks. Good stuff. Always good to hear from him.
Absolutely.
So we were getting some comments on X about the Jalen Milroe conversation. Chris Smith saying maybe the most appropriate statement in Milroe's college career is that both Isaiah Bond and Seth McLaughlin left because of him. Probably others too. He needs to play SS, strong safety, in the NFL.
Well, I mean, I can't say that because I've never even seen him play defense, and he doesn't like contact when he plays quarterback. So why would someone think that he's going to be able to play strong safety? That's my point.
I guess that's what SS means.
Yeah, I would think. Yeah. I mean, I would think.
Guess. Mm-hmm. And then Uncle Mike chimes in, says Milroe needs to follow his heart, similar to Tebow. If that means trying to make it as QB, then go for it.
Yeah.
He only gets to be this age once. If it doesn't work out, then he can decide where to go from there.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I mean, he's been a quarterback his whole life. It's just like Tebow was. Tebow was a quarterback his entire football career, and I can see Jalen Milroe wanting to do that. And if someone's willing to invest money in you in the NFL and draft you, then give it a roll. Give it a shot. There's absolutely nothing bad that can come out of it. He already has 2 degrees from the University of Alabama, so he's already got his education. And so, hey, give it your best shot. See what happens. I'm a skeptic. Of course, I was a skeptic about Jalen Hurts. He's certainly proven me wrong. He's been to 2 Super Bowls, and it's to the point with his supporting cast with Philadelphia. I think they can win the Super Bowl. That's my pick. I think Philadelphia is going to beat the Chiefs. And I really do. I think if Jalen plays the way I saw him play last week, or excuse me, I always forget now, 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, yeah.
They take the 2-week break.
Off week.
But the way he played in the NFC Championship game against Washington, if he throws the football like that, and the way he did in his previous Super Bowl appearance against Patrick Mahomes, I think they can win because they have a better running back now. They have arguably the best running back in all of football. Right. And I think when you think about that, and you think about their defense, they have the number 1 defense in the NFL. Vic Fangio's done a great job with that group. If they can force some turnovers, and they seem to be getting healthier. Brandon Graham may very well play in this Super Bowl. I think the Eagles can get it done. We'll see. I hope Devontae Smith has a big game. He's always kind of been a clutch guy. And then we know A.J. Brown started reemerging last week. So, and then I think we're all rooting for Nick Morrow and Reed Blankenship that we talked about earlier in the week.
And Kari Blasingame.
Yep, there you go, Kari Blasingame. So that's 3 represented.
All right, we got to get a break in. When we come back, you kind of talked about the Super Bowl. Well, we got to throw out a little Super Bowl information there. There was a practice yesterday. By the way, if you go to WZZN TV, you can watch the Jalen Hurts interview and the Patrick Mahomes interview from yesterday. There was press conferences there in New Orleans. We've got those up on our WZZN TV page, so you can go and watch Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes. But, Drew, there was somebody absent from the Chiefs practice yesterday that might need to be at Chiefs practice if he wants to talk about the game on TV.
We'll
fill you in.
You got it. You don't want to get fined now.
Well, we'll fill you in when we come back.
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Well, at least you got there on time.
Ah, hell.
It's Talkin' Ball when we return.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a report coming in on 565. This one is between Greenbrier and County Line. 3 vehicles involved. They've got it pulled over to the left side of the road. They had a report of injury there, so I'm not sure what the situation on that one is. Got Jordan southbound at University that should be clearing. From routine care to heart failure, Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialist on Bob Wallace have the expertise to care for all matters of the heart. Captain Eck in the Valley, Skywatch Traffic Center.
Super Bowl 59 is on Westwood One.
Now the Chiefs are on the doorstep of history, going for a 3rd consecutive Super Bowl.
Hi, everybody. I'm Scott Grant. Join Kevin Harlan, Kurt Warner, Laura Oakman, Gene Steratore, Devin McCourty, and me for all the action right here.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
The company is Eagle Masonry and Insulation, but did you know they're also Eagle Landscaping and Dirt Work? Eagle can take care of all your landscaping needs, including irrigation, sod work, and planting, both plants and trees. On the dirt work side, Eagle can grade and build your pads, haul dirt in or out, and even do erosion control. Philip Love and his team can do it all for you. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money. Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
What does it mean to be a part of the Southeastern Conference? That you paint your body, your car, and your dog your school colors? Maybe. But it means more than that. It means your alumni network includes the state, the country, and beyond. It means your school ring doubles as your resume. And yeah, you better believe it means more titles, like doctor, CEO, and your honor. Because this is the SEC. And here, it just means more. What does it mean to be part of the Southeastern Conference? That yours is the only conference with its own chant? Well, yes, but it means more than that. It means a study abroad program that might include reforestation in a mangrove swamp in Australia. It means finding your calling, your future spouse, your startup's co-founders, and of course, grilling tongs that play your fight song. This is the SEC, and here, it just means more.
Buckhorn Youth Sports was created in 2018 to provide kids in our community the ability to compete at every sport possible. We offer football, flag and tackle, cheer, volleyball, wrestling, basketball, baseball, and softball. You can find us on Facebook at Buckhorn Youth Sports, where we prepare the future. Buckhorn Youth Sports is a proud supporter of Buckhorn High School football. Go Bucks!
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama, located online at universitykia.com.
7:50 Thursday morning edition of Talking Ball is back. Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond. Safe travels into work, into school, wherever you may be headed. And Drew, come Sunday, Fox will broadcast the Super Bowl once again. And it is customary that the network, and it's this way with college football as well, lots of times when ESPN broadcasts a game, most of the time, Kirk Herbstreit, Chris Fowler, and the gang, they will arrive. If they're doing a game in Alabama or Auburn, they'll arrive there. They'll go to practice like on a Friday. They will sit through team meetings. They will sit through a practice so that they can get acclimated to the team. I mean, and the coaches, and they ask questions. They have all these little meetings and everything. And it's the same thing for the Super Bowl. Fox has the Super Bowl. And so yesterday was the day for Fox to drop by the Kansas City Chiefs practice. So Kevin Burkhardt, Aaron Andrews, Tom Rinaldi, Jimmy Johnson, Kurt Menefee, Julian Edelman, they all stopped by practice yesterday. Everybody that's doing the game, except for one guy.
Who was that?
Tom Brady.
Uh-oh.
Tom Brady.
No Tom Brady, huh?
Tom Brady was not allowed to attend Kansas City Chiefs practice because he's a minority owner of the Raiders.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, though, because of his Raider ownership. There you go.
And Clark Hunt, the Chiefs owner, made it clear that Tom Brady would not be allowed to attend Kansas City Chiefs practice yesterday. So he was not allowed to attend.
Well, he owns a stake in the Raiders, so I can see that. I mean, the big question is he going to continue doing the TV deal? I know he's getting paid $1 gazillion. So what's he going to prioritize? Is he going to prioritize trying to revive the sad sack Raiders? Or, is he going to, continue trying to do a good job in his TV career, which I think he's improved from the start of the season. I mean, the start of the season I thought was
he's gotten
rough.
better?
I do. I still don't think he's better than the guy he replaced, but I do think he's gotten better.
Are you gearing up for the Super Bowl? Are you ready for some tailgating? Are you
yeah. I mean, I've got my Uncle Keith's red sauce. You know, I probably need to go get some, scoop Fritos if they hadn't all sold out everywhere. And I might, I might, I definitely have chili dogs I'm going to be making. That's kind of a tradition for Super Bowl Sunday.
Chili dogs.
Yeah.
Are you going to put the Uncle Keith on the chili dogs?
I might
with the chili.
I may just mix it in with the chili. I haven't tried that yet. I need to keep trying new things. So I may do that.
I don't know if that would be good or not. We, by the way, just to let you know, we had hibachi last night for it. That was the meal.
Yeah, I heard you were.
Night.
Steve was telling us you were raring to go. He said you were going to have a report. So
it was good. It was steak.
Okay.
It was the traditional steak hibachi with rice and stuff.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah,
it was good.
My esteemed colleague Freddie Kirby and I went to Drake's last night, and it was good. Hadn't had Drake's in a while. They've added steaks to the menu. Didn't have a steak last night, but had some fish and chips, but they were quite good.
I went to Drake's. I forget where we were at. We were on a trip. It was with UAH. We were somewhere.
Yeah.
And I broke away for a minute and I got some kind of bowl, some kind of
avocado. They got some bowls. Yeah. I saw them on the menu. I know what you're talking about there.
It was a healthy type of bowl or what? No, it was some kind of salmon bowl or something. I don't know. It was fantastic, by the way. Just to let everyone know, it's fantastic. Anyway, let's go to Brandon on the phone lines.
What's going on, Brandon?
So this guy named Ethan Strand ran an indoor mile in 3 minutes and 48.32 seconds.
Wow.
Yes. He set the NCAA. My son called me because he and Ethan knew each other. They ran against each other back in the day. And he's like, Dad, Ethan is, because Ethan actually ran in the Olympic trials this past year and nearly made it on the U.S. Olympic team. He's from Birmingham. He's from the Birmingham area.
Gotcha.
Nearly made the Olympic squad, did Ethan Strand, and he'll be one of the favorites for Team USA to make the mile in the next Olympics.
Wow.
You realize that that's only about 18 more seconds than it takes to cook a thing of Easy Mac in the microwave.
Yeah. Because see, it's I want to say if it's a mile, it's should be 8 laps around the indoor track. Because it's half the distance. So it's about 200. So it should be about 8 laps, I believe, around that indoor track.
I'm wondering, looking at this kid, he looks to be very tall. So I'm guessing he's covering 6.5 feet of stride.
Probably so. He's probably, and in high school though, he cruised to a lot of the state records as well here in the state. He is a phenomenal runner, and he was fun to watch when he was in high school.
Well, that is stupid fast. And I at least wanted to throw that up there. If you run an indoor mile in almost 3.5 minutes, you're a human rocket ship.
Yeah, he runs for North Carolina. And he's running for the Tar Heels.
The Tar Heels. So he's not in the state of Oregon, huh?
No, he's not in the state of Oregon. No.
Well, congrats to your son though. He's been doing very well. I don't know what term to use. You're more up on the running vernacular.
He was injured last year, stress fracture in the foot. He's getting back into it. He had a year off, and so he's out there at Western Oregon running Division II, and he's having a good indoor season. So he's got the conference meet coming up, I think in a couple weeks or whatever, And their relay, their 4x8 relay or whatever they want to call it, haven't ran yet together, but they're like 4th or 5th in the country as far as times go. So he's having a good.
Is there usually a big difference between outdoor and indoor mile time?
Oh, there's a huge difference because in indoor, and I'm learning this from him. So, but your indoor turns, your corners are not as wide. It's not as long. So on the outdoor track, it's like 88.3 meters, close to 100 meters on a turn on your bends. And the indoor track is a little bit shorter. So it's awesome that he ran that, did Ethan. But he will have a fantastic outdoor season as well. He'll be really good. But look at me displaying my track knowledge. You like that?
Yep. And I couldn't.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. For a limited time, GBank is offering a $250 bonus when you open a GBank Visa signature card. Apply today at vsin.com/GBank.
College basketball coming up today. Jacksonville State, a 1.5 favorite over Middle Tennessee at the Pete Matthews Coliseum, where the total is 142.5. Super Bowl 59 a week from Sunday in New Orleans. The Chiefs are either a 1.5 or a 1-point favorite over the Eagles, depending upon the sports book. 4 categories almost assuredly determines a Super Bowl winner. The most rushing yards, the more pass yards per attempt, time of possession, and fewer turnovers. Teams that have won all 4 categories, 26-0 in the Super Bowl, 24-1-1. Chiefs and Eagles, Super Bowl 59, coming up on Sunday. For more, go to vsin.com. Mike
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
This hour brought to you by SportsMed Orthopedic and Spine Center. Online at sportsmedalabama.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
It's SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center kicking off hour number 2 for us because they're really good people. We really like them, and they're dedicated to providing care that improves lives. They are the official training provider of the UAH Chargers and the Rocket City Trash Pandas, so they trust them, so why can't you? 256-881-5151. You can experience that SportsMed difference at SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center. Don't forget, coming up tonight, 7:30, UAH at Delta State. Again, bottom of the hour, we will talk to Mick Hedgepeth as we get his thoughts on the Chargers going for their 21st straight win. But now we need to switch our attention to the Florida Gators because Florida does come to Tuscaloosa in 48 hours. Or no, Auburn, I should say. Why am I saying Tus? They come to Auburn in 48 hours. And the students could not be any more happier because they don't have to camp out anymore down there, down on the plains, as they've been camping out since yesterday. But this Florida team got off to a really, really, really good start, Drew. And they've kind of, I mean, it's the throes of the SEC. They've kind of hit a couple bumps, but this team coming to the plains on Saturday is awfully good.
Yes, they are. They're one of the best teams in a loaded SEC. There's no question about it. Todd Golden is starting to stack seasons. I think they finally found the guy. And again, it's only been He was the guy that replaced the guy. Mike White did a solid job, now the head coach at Georgia, but it was going to be nearly impossible to fill the shoes of Billy Donovan, now the head coach of the Chicago Bulls. And, of course, they play at Billy Donovan Court inside the O'Connell Center, no doubt about it, the newly renovated one, really. And Todd Golden has done a remarkable job. This will be a big test because last year in Gainesville they routed Auburn, but they're going to Auburn this weekend. Auburn is the number one team in the country, but Florida is hanging in there. They've still got a shot to be on that one line. There's we talked about the SEC and having 13 and now really 14 teams in contention for a bid.
Yeah.
With Arkansas's resurgence in the last week, and Florida is certainly near the top of the list. They're a very, very good basketball team. The big issue, though, is going to be the health of Walter Clayton Jr., who has put 2 really good years or is in the process of doing that together as a Gator. They're going to need him. They're going to need all hands on deck to beat the Auburn Tigers. But we're going to talk about that and Florida football with our next guest, who does a great job in the state of Florida. I met him several years ago. It's been almost my first year in radio. I was covering the SEC championship game in 2015. It was, of course, the year Derrick Henry won the Heisman. Alabama won the national championship. Jim McElwain was the head coach of the Gators at the time. And Florida, has now got another former Bama guy in charge of that program. And we all know who that is, and that is Billy Napier. And it seemed as though a month into the season, this past football season, that Napier was dead in the water. But he's not. It's really turned around. We may be seeing the same thing in basketball with John Calipari, but we're going to discuss it with my good friend from WFOY Radio. He does an outstanding job hosting Sports Now. I've been a part of that program many times. You can hear him Tuesdays from 4 to 6 Eastern time, and then from 4 to 5 Eastern time, Wednesday through Friday on WFOY. And, of course, we're talking about John Frary. John, I hope you've had a happy new year. Welcome back to Huntsville. You're with Drew and Scott. How are you?
Good morning, Drew and Scott. Happy New Year to all you guys and all of Huntsville as well. And you touched on a lot of good things for the Gators there, Drew. Todd Golden has an historical year for Florida going on right now. We'll see how it ends, but 19-3, 6-3 in conference. And Florida hasn't been in these chartered waters since one Billy Donovan back in 2014. It's been a while since they've had this type of record. And I think this type of basketball team with the depth, they go about 8 deep. They can sometimes go 9. And Walter Clayton Jr. is going to be a key, as you touched on, if he will be able to play tomorrow. What we're hearing is he is going to give it a go, that it was more precautionary that they held him out the other night against Vanderbilt, which would be great news for Florida. But Florida Gator basketball is definitely on the up, guys. There's no doubt about it.
Well, how did they react then to, you host Tennessee and just eviscerate them on the home floor, travel to Knoxville coming off that game, and it doesn't go so well up there in Knoxville. Is it just part of the SEC bumps and grinds, or was it a trend developing with Florida?
Well, a great question. I think it's more part of the SEC than a trend developing for Florida. Now, going in, Tennessee had 2 starters out of that game too. And so you would have thought Florida would have played better last Saturday in Knoxville. They only scored 44 points, which is a low for Todd Golden's era for the 3 seasons, not just this one. Those games were kind of weird, guys, in that Tennessee couldn't throw it in the ocean when they came to Gainesville. Florida had the same itis in Knoxville. They were 4 of 27 from behind the arc. So I think it was one of those games, to be honest. Now, Florida could have played with more energy that day, and that's honestly the only game that you can look at through this whole season and say they didn't show up from the get-go with a lot of energy. And so that's inexcusable, obviously, but I don't think it's going to be a trend. I think this Florida basketball team will play a lot better on Saturday, not necessarily saying they're going to win against Auburn. That's a tough task over there. But I don't think you're going to see a repeat performance like we saw in Knoxville last Saturday.
Well, and let's also understand, Scott and I discussed this. Tennessee was a desperate team too, because they had a bad week and they had lost a couple. Now they lost a golden opportunity to win at Auburn. Then they lay an egg at home against Kentucky. So they really, to stay in the conversation for a 1 seed and to stay in contention for the SEC championship, which is going to be very, very difficult to do, but still to stay in the top 4 or 5, they had to win. And I think, and they remembered what happened in Gainesville. They did not play well at all. It was really, as you said, John, the first really bad performance from Florida. The craziest stat I heard is that I think they said it was the all-time worst field goal percentage shooting game for Florida in the history of the program.
I believe it. Watching it last week, I did not know that, by the way. But I know it was for Todd Golden, but it could have been for the history of the program. It was just one of those days where there were shots Florida could have made, and they just didn't. They just couldn't make anything, it seemed like. Will Richard only had 2 points and only attempted 2 shots on Saturday. That was weird as well. I don't exactly know what that was about. Walter Clayton Jr. got hurt second half or late first half, tried to play in the second half, but you could tell he wasn't the same. And Elijah Martin just had one of those days. He tried, but he couldn't put anything in the basket. And that's why I think you're not going to see that out of those 3 guards. Again, I just don't think you're going to have a game where all 3 of them are off like that. And so that's why I anticipate not just Saturday, but the rest of this season, Florida's going to make a run, not only in the SEC, but I think depending on matchups, they could make a deep run in March this year. They've never won a tournament game with Todd Golden since he's been here. It's only year 3.
Wow.
But I think this is the year they could get back to the 16 or further, depending on matchups and seeding and all of that. The 3 toughest games they have on paper are the one on Saturday at Auburn. I think the one next Tuesday night at Mississippi State is going to be important for them, especially if they lose to Auburn. And then late in the year, they are at Alabama and Tuscaloosa. So those are the 3 toughest ones left. But in the SEC, they're all tough guys, as Drew laid out. And I think we are going to have 12 or 13 make the tournament, too. I think it's going to be a deep field from the SEC in March.
How do you see them matching up Saturday down on the plains against Auburn?
I think the biggest thing is, can they contain Janai Broom, for starters? And obviously that's easier said than done, but I think Florida's going to have to use a lot of fouls to be able to limit what he can do. I think they are going to match up well on the outside if Clayton is near 100%. I'll put that as an addendum, but with those 3 guys I just mentioned, and I think Denzel Aberdeen coming off the bench is going to be a key too. He started the Vanderbilt game, but he adds a little something as a 4th guard when he comes off the bench. But I really think it's going to be the interior and how much they can limit Janai Broom, I think, for their chances to pull off the upset on Saturday. And, guys, I do think Auburn's going to lose to somebody in the conference, whether it's Florida. They're 9-0 right now. They're not going to win them all in the conference. At least I don't think so, not with one this tough. So maybe this is the one. We'll see. It's a tall order for Florida to pull it off, but I think this is going to go right down the stretch to the end. I don't think this is going to be a blowout. I think that Florida's going to hang in there at least until the final 2 minutes of this game. I think they're going to have a chance to pull it off Saturday.
Well, and the one thing we talked to Brian Matthews this week, we talked to Chris Lee. Florida has a size advantage. They do have a lot of length and size, and maybe not as we were told, as bouncy as they were a year ago and as athletic on the front line, but still a lot of size led by Alex Condon.
Alex Condon's going to be a big factor in this. I think Chinyulu is a name to watch out for. He's not much of an offensive player, but he's a rebounder and can block shots.
I was going to let you handle that one. I was trying to figure that one out.
He really helps inside. And then Thomas Howell comes off the bench, and I think he provides some quality minutes. And then Sam Alexis also, not as much of an offensive scorer, but again, kind of like Chinyulu, he can get inside, he can get rebounds, and they rotate 4 big men. And the funny thing is, guys, it looked for a while like they might get Micah Hanlongton back, and he broke his leg against Auburn in the SEC championship game a year ago. That was a gruesome injury for that young man, but he decided not to come back this year. But even without him, I think the 4 guys they rotate in and out of there are going to be able to give Florida enough to stay competitive in the game and have a chance to win down the stretch.
And then, John, of course, we know that I was so impressed last year with the guard play, and yet it hasn't skipped a beat this year. You have Clayton back, Richard. They've played a lot of basketball, but talk about the addition of Elijah Martin and how he's really kind of seamlessly fit in after transferring from FAU.
Elijah Martin has been huge. I don't think this team would be anywhere near where they are, Drew, without him record-wise. He came in, and his moniker was more defense than offense, but he can provide offense as well. We've seen games where he can't miss. But I like his leadership. I like what he's provided off the court as well as on the court. I know when we've gotten a chance to interview him in the post game, he has said this team reminds him in a way of the team he was on at FAU 2 years ago that went to the Final Four. Now, there are some differences, but basically he said it's the depth of the team, the 8-man rotation. And so, but defensively, I really love what he's provided more than anything, because this was a team that a year ago, and even Todd Golden's first year, they were known for offense, but the defense was not as good. And the defense has improved immensely this season. And Elijah Martin is a big part of the reason why. So I think if Florida goes deep in this year's tournament, Elijah Martin's going to be one of the main reasons they were able to advance as far as they did.
John Frary joining us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. And John, a lot of basketball conversation, but we do got to slip in a few football questions as well. Yesterday wrapped up National Signing Day for the Gators, and Billy Napier and company, beginning of the season, boy, the recruiting looked dismal, but man, because of, I'm just going to say it, because of the success he had this year where the bottom didn't fall out, he ends up with a top 10 recruiting class in Gainesville.
This is the most amazing turnaround I've ever seen since covering Florida sports, guys, because if you had asked me 5 months ago, I would have said Billy Napier's gone, point blank, after the September that Florida had last year, getting blown out by Miami, getting blown out by Texas A&M, no energy in the program at all. And then the turnaround they made, and especially defensively. Defensively, they just turned it around starting in October with the UCF game all the way to the end of the season with the bowl win over Tulane. And recruiting, you mentioned that, according to 24/7, they're ranked in the top 10. They're at number 8 right now, and they're in the top 10 in other services too. And the momentum Coach Napier has, it's the greatest 8-5 in Florida school history. I'll just say that, because it sure did look last year like it was headed for 3-9 or 2-10 at one point back in September. So I got to give Coach Napier a lot of credit with all the noise that was out there. All the pundits predicting he was going to be fired. These kids never quit playing for him. Not one time. They should have won the Tennessee game. If you remember that, they lost in overtime. They gave up a lot of scoring opportunities there. They had a chance against Georgia. DJ Lagway got hurt in the first half of that game, for those that forgotten, and Florida was up at that point. I'm not saying they would have won, but I think they would have taken that right to the end if Lagway had played to the finish. And with DJ Lagway coming back this year with another year of experience under him, the recruiting class you mentioned, and then he's made a few changes in the coaching staff as well. Robert Bela, a name you guys are probably familiar with.
Yes.
From Alabama, and Sunseri have both come over to join the defensive staff. The only question mark I have going into 2025 for Billy Napier I would have loved to have seen him bring in a play caller. He's going to continue to call the plays. That does concern me. I'm not going to lie about that, but Billy Napier's adamant about that. He's been pretty stubborn about that, and he thinks that's how he got this job. So I think he's going to die on that hill as far as calling the plays. But everything else looks very promising for this team going into 2025. And I think the expectations are going to be 9-3 or better, to be honest with you, going in, because it is year 4, and it is time to start seeing more on the field from Florida football now.
No doubt. And then they did pull off one of the headlines, one of the few. Most all the hay was in the barn yesterday on the second signing day, but they flipped a defensive back from Columbia, South Carolina, Onis Kanabani. I'm going to do the best I can there. I know he was committed to Tennessee, and the Gators flipped him the day before and then signed him yesterday, John.
And that was a big flip. You know, I don't know about you guys, but I miss when signing day was a bigger deal to start with.
We both do. Yeah, we've been talking about it.
That used to be like a holiday for college football junkies, and now it's an afterthought. But flipping the defensive back from South Carolina, I think, was huge for Coach Napier. You can still get 1 or 2 pieces on signing day. I know most come from early signing day in December in the transfer portal, but that will help Florida's secondary next year. I think that young man will get some playing time. I'm not saying he'll start, but I think he'll get some playing time. And so I think that's encouraging because, again, a couple of months ago, Florida was in the 50s in recruiting guys. And like I said, this has just been an unbelievable transformation how this has turned around.
And then, of course, you mentioned it, Robert Bala, former Alabama inside linebackers coach, now going to be co-DC linebackers coach along with Ron Roberts. And then you bring in Vinny Sunseri to work with the secondary and to be another co-DC. 2 really good young football coaches. I think Nick Saban was very high on both those young guys that were part of the Alabama organization. How excited is the Gator Nation for adding these 2?
They're very excited for adding Sunseri and Bala, and nothing against Austin Armstrong, but it was not working with him when he was here. He's moved on to Texas Tech, and we wish him the best, but I think you could see the transformation from Ron Roberts being here last year, and I think it only gets better with Bala and Sunseri to come in and add some more defensive minds to this, and that's, to me, again, was the biggest change in Florida football last year was the defense from early September to what you saw at the end in December. It was night and day, guys, and that's the reason they were able to go on the 4-game winning streak at the end. They were 4-5 at one point last year, wound up 8-5. If that defense hadn't turned around, no way in my mind they're in a bowl game or 8-5. So I think it's great news. Both of those coaches joining the staff for next season.
Wow. Goes 8-5 this year, John. I mean, now the fans say, all right, we see it. Now we want 9. Now we want 10. Now comes the hard part, though, right?
There's no question about that, Scott. 8-5 will not cut it, not after 4 years. And honestly, guys, I think that's fair because how many coaches in this day and age get 4 years? I mean, with the record that Coach Napier's had, he's 19-19 overall. And it took an 8-5 to get to 500. So I think the Florida administration, Scott Strickland specifically, has shown a lot of patience. He kind of stuck his neck out last year after the Georgia game because he said Billy Napier was returning. And that was before the 4-game winning streak and this huge turnaround. So that kind of took some guts to do that, at least in my opinion. And so I think now, the Florida fan base and the boosters specifically are expecting the payback this year, at least 9 wins. I think, that's going to be expected.
Well, there's going to be a lot to talk about on sports now later today. And, of course, as we said, John will be on from 4 to 6 Eastern, 3 to 5 Central Time. Excuse me, let me correct myself. It'll be 4 to 5 Eastern. He's on 4 to 6 on Tuesdays, 4 to 5 Wednesday through Friday. Going to be a lot of Gator conversation on WFOY. we appreciate the time, John. Good luck to the Gator Nation on Saturday as they travel to Auburn, and basketball would be the biggest win in the country this year if they could knock off the Tigers. But Billy Napier, a lot of positive momentum right now, baseball season with Kevin O'Sullivan, another top 10 program. But we always appreciate catching up, man, and appreciate the time.
Drew and Scott, always thank you for having me. An honor and a pleasure, and have a great day.
Thanks, John. John Frary, kind enough to join us. Let's get a break in. Phone lines open to you for a minute when we come back. 256-576-4977.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got double trouble on 565 eastbound. Had one wreck before County Line, one wreck east of County Line. They've moved the one east of County Line over to the right side of the road. The one between Greenbrier and County Line, they're still working it in the middle of the road. So they're pushing all the traffic over to the number 3 and 4 lanes there. Had one on Jordan southbound at University. That one's reported as completely clear now. Also got one I-65 northbound about the 340. That's the 565 interchange. No injury reported there. No hose, no mask. You can ask Dr. Sandman, that's Dr. Sandlin, for the medically proven benefits of the Somnodent for sleep apnea and for snoring. Dr. Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
If hunting and outdoor recreation are your passions, it all starts with the right property. That's where I come in. I am Bo Butler with Southland Realty and Auction, a hunting and recreational land specialist and a Jackson County native who sees land through a hunter's eyes. Just as you trust your guide on a big game hunt, you can trust me to find the perfect property for you. Thinking of selling? Let me help you make your land attract buyers. Remember, Bo knows land. Call me at 256-609-0512.
Are you tired of power outages disrupting your life? It's time for a Generac standby generator from Current Electrical. Storms may rage outside, but inside your family's powered up. So why choose Current Electrical for your generator needs? 1, we offer a wide range of models to suit every budgeted energy requirement. 2, our project managers handle every step of the process: power, gas, permitting, and inspections. 3, our certified technicians install your generator with precision, ensuring peace of mind. Don't wait for the next blackout. Call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at jetsuperstore.com.
Carrabba's Italian Grill is the best place to enjoy authentic Italian cuisine, passed down from our founders' family recipes. Featuring a wood-burning grill, you can enjoy Carrabba's signature dishes, including chicken brine, wood-fired grilled steak and chops, and classic Italian pasta dishes. Have a special event? Elevate your catering with Carrabba's Catering, the perfect way to enjoy large party portions of your favorite hand-prepared dishes for any event. Carrabba's Italian Grill at Parkway Place, Huntsville.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Everything you need is just a click away.
I show up sometimes, silly.
Okay, almost everything.
Come on, pal. Tell your fortune.
Log on today. 977ESPN.com. 977 ESPN, The Zone.
All right, 8:26 on a Thursday morning. Welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Let's go out to the phone line, shall we? We said they'd be open, and indeed they are. Jared is with us out of the break. Good morning, Jared.
Hey, good morning, fellas.
Morning.
I was just going to say, I'm not a big fan of them Gators, but I do like Billy Napier. He's a good dude. And it looks like he's trying to do things the right way. And I'm kind of glad he got, another opportunity. And honestly, I do wish them success. You know what I mean? He's a good coach, I think, at the end of the day. And he wasn't really handed, the Lambo like old DeBoer was down in Tuscaloosa. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
certainly the
Mullen,
roster there were some issues. Yeah.
But that's besides the point. I know we love talking Bama football around here. So let's talk about that. You know, we got Coach Grubb in at OC, which I'm pretty excited about. However, you know, I was impressed with our defense last year. Surprising. At first, it was a little weird, but they ended up keeping us in a lot of games and played really well. And I expect that to continue this year as well. But, you know, I think you would agree that our running game outside of Milroe was abysmal. And, you know, Coach Grubb isn't really known for his running prowess, at least in the last few years, I don't believe. Do you think we'll see a little bit more improvement this year as far as that's concerned?
Well, his last year at Washington, they had a 1,200-yard rusher in DJ Johnson, who transferred from Mississippi State. He did get hurt near the end of the year, and that was a big factor, I think, in the national championship game, because he played, but he wasn't himself. But he had 1,200 yards rushing, I think 16-plus touchdowns. So they had balance in their offense, no question about it. We'll see. I still think the dependence on Milroe as a runner and having to run him simply to get him going, I think it hurt the production, no question. Of the running back room. The running game was not a traditional one, and I think he got so many carries and so much of the running load that and at times, like you even saw it in the ReliaQuest Bowl, when they would run the ball traditionally and conventionally, I felt like they did a good job, and I think they did a good job the year before. Jace McClellan had nearly 1,000 yards. I always loved Roydell Williams. Jam Miller had his moments, but I just felt like overall last year there was too big a reliance on Jalen Milroe, but they had to do that because I always felt like watching Jalen play, if he didn't get off to a good start and you didn't get him going as a runner where the defense had to kind of account for that, then he wasn't nearly as effective. So I'll just say this. I think the offense is going to look a lot different this year. I think it is an advantage to get Grubb back just simply because of the synergy that he has and the chemistry with Kalen DeBoer. I'm glad Nick Sheridan's staying as well because they all know, what it's like to work with each other and put together a potent offense. And I'm anxious to see Jam Miller in this more conventional offense and Richard Young. I think Richard Young showed some explosiveness last year. He's a guy that can run physically, and I think right now that's going to be your 1-2 punch is those two guys in the backfield. Now that we've seen Justice Haynes move on to Michigan, who made the biggest splash yesterday. They bought Ty Haywood, and that's exactly what they did. They bought him out from under Alabama, and so we'll see how he does. Certainly, they signed two really good tackles in him and Babaloa, and we'll see if both of them have to play as freshmen. That's not going to be a good thing, but I think Michigan they ended up turning their recruiting around like Florida did. When they were able to flip Bryce Underwood. So we'll see what kind of football team Michigan has next year.
All right, Jared, thanks for the phone call.
$10 million will flip pretty much anybody. Y'all
you would think so.
Yeah, thanks. I was just going to say, when you have a little cash in the wallet, Drew, you can go to any restaurant you
Portnoy.
want. Right?
Yeah, that's I guess Barstool. He's the one that's funding most of this. So there you go.
That's all right. It'll eventually run out. I don't know why. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. We never lost you. You're good.
All right. We've got to get a break in because when we come back, Mick Hedgepeth is going to join us. He thought about coming down to the room, Drew, but we're just going to give him a call on the phone.
Okay.
And it's probably a good thing.
Maybe he doesn't have to wake up mold time unless Steve's on the
Oh, he's napping. Let's get a break.
Oh, I'm sure he is. I'm surprised I couldn't hear him. Hear that train coming. Woo, woo. I've certainly heard it. Good Lord.
She'll run you over.
Oh, hell, fire. Woo.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A mostly cloudy sky this afternoon. We are going to get to enjoy a little bit of sunshine, and temperatures once again going to be on the warmer end of the spectrum. Highs consistently climbing into the lower 70s across the Tennessee Valley. A couple of isolated showers certainly can't be ruled out, but there are going to be significant periods of dry time, and some of us could spend the entire day dry. Temperatures only dropping into the mid-50s. Overall, much the same as we head into your Friday. A mostly cloudy sky. We are going to be a little bit cooler, but still well above average. Highs climbing into the mid and upper 60s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN. The Zone.
Got double trouble on 565 eastbound. Had one wreck before County Line, one wreck east of County Line. They've moved the one east of County Line over to the right side of the road. The one between Greenbrier and County Line, they're still working it in the middle of the road. So they're pushing all the traffic over to the number 3 and 4 lanes there. Had one on Jordan southbound at University. That one's reported as completely clear now. Also got one I-65 northbound about the 340. That's the 565 interchange. No injury reported there. No hose, no mask. You can ask Dr. Sandman, that's Dr. Sandlin, for the medically proven benefits of the Somnodent for sleep apnea and for snoring. Dr. Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Super Bowl 59 is on Westwood One.
Now the Chiefs are on the doorstep of history, going for a third consecutive Super Bowl.
Hi, everybody. I'm Scott Grant. Join Kevin Harlan, Kurt Warner, Laura Oakman, Gene Steratore, Devin McCourty, and me for all the action right here.
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
Isn't the story of the prodigal son an amazing story? Basically, a rowdy boy who literally wished his father dead, ran away, and consumed his wealth with hard and fast living. Yet the father looked for his return every day, and when the boy got tired of eating pig slop, he decided to return. What did the father do? As soon as he saw that boy, he ran to him, threw his arms around him, and killed the fatted calf for a great celebration. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of the Cross Point Church. If you're looking for a church home, come see us, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison.
This is Steve Moulton from 97.7 ESPN The Zone, and this is What's Happening. Be sure and download our app. Just search 977 ESPN in your Google Marketplace or your Apple Store, depending on your device, so you can take us wherever you might go. And you can also check out our latest zone deals. Head over to our website, 977ESPN.com. The top left banner reads, "Savings never tasted so good." Click on that, then enter in the Big Zone Deals store for half-off zone deals of Lawler's Barbecue, Sea Salt, Carrabba's Italian Grill, Bubby's Diner, Corlejos Mexican Grill, Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, Divergence, Full Moon Barbecue, Bigfoot Little Donuts, Apple Lane Farms, the Decatur location, an overnight stay at Gunnersville State Park, and rounds of golf at Cherokee Ridge Golf Course and Gunter's Landing. And that's what's happening.
Wheelchairs for Warriors serves those who served us. We provide custom-fit wheelchairs for veterans and first responders injured in the line of duty. When they are denied the services they deserve, we stand in the gap. To join the mission and support America's heroes, you can visit our website at wheelchairsforwarriors.org. We are a 501c3 organization and part of the combined federal campaign. Visit wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Listen weekday afternoons starting at 5 on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
It's perfect.
Delta Dawn, what's that flower? Could it be a faded rose from days gone by? And did
See, Drew, there you go. That's how you come back when you're in the Delta.
There you go. Perfect.
That's how you come back when you're in the Delta. That's exactly where I'm at right now. It's Tanya Tucker's Delta Dawn, and we are in Cleveland, Mississippi, ahead of tonight's UAH Delta State game, 7:30, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Steve Moulton, myself, will be there inside giving you all the action, and it's a big night because the Chargers could net their 21st straight win, which would set a new program record for consecutive wins.
A tremendous accomplishment for Coach Mick Hedgepeth in his first season, and congratulations to him as well for just recently garnering his 100th career win as a head coach. He's done a remarkable job in year one, taking over for John Schulman, and now they will be on this Mississippi turn. It's been a month and a half ago or so, December 19th and 21st, Scott, that we saw Delta State, and of course, as we know, we saw both them and Mississippi College face the Chargers. First, I believe it was Mississippi College, then Delta. Now it's in reverse there. But two impressive wins for UAH in those games. I believe 101-71 over Mississippi College, and then Delta State 87-67. And now they're going to try to go and stay on this winning streak and stay unbeaten in Gulf South Conference play, as they are ranked in the top 4 in the country in all of Division II basketball. And it's an honor to talk with Mick Hedgepeth and talk some UAH Charger basketball. Coach, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Great to have you, Coach.
Yes. And, back on the road, you guys go again. This time, Delta, Mississippi College, coming off two hard-fought home wins, Lee at home and then Trevecca Nazarene, both games really testing this Charger squad.
Yeah, it's been a hard stretch, with those two. Also going back to Valdosta and West Florida, which were both challenging, physical, grinded out games. So I'm glad we were able to have a day off on Sunday and able to work on us a little bit in preparation for this week. It's my first time down in Cleveland, Mississippi. Really enjoyed going over to the arena last night. It's a great setup, and I know we'll have a tough challenge for us this evening.
And Coach, to rewind a little bit, we always knew how big a rivalry it was with Lee. Always very spirited, especially when John Schulman was here. But they have undergone roster changes. They've undergone some strife off the court, but they seem to be putting things back together. And that was a big-time test that they gave you guys inside Spraggins Hall. Close throughout, a very tight game. What did you take after watching the film away from the Chargers winning that game 71-68?
Well, to your point, a ton of credit to them and Coach Bubba Smith. First of all, they had a really nice defensive plan. They're a really good defensive team. I thought we saw that even going back to the first time we played them at their place. I honestly felt like the first half we shot it better than we played, gained a bit of a margin, and then they beat us the second half and were pretty stifling defensively. And then that was the case the whole game the second time we played them. We just couldn't get some advantages that we normally get on the offensive end. They've got really good individual defenders and links. They play really hard. They slow the game down a bit, and they're a little more methodical offensively. We struggled getting some stops, which limited us in transition. And then, they held us to our lowest point total of the season. But, we were able to get a little bit of a margin there in the second half. Then they got going and made some threes. I think we were up 14, and then they cut it right back to 6 in like 3 possessions. So it was a good test for us. We were fortunate. They got a couple really good looks at the end that neither of those went down. But it was a good battle, and I think both teams will be better because of that game.
Yeah, and then you look and you come out of that game, and then you take on a Trevecca team that had a little bit of size on the inside, some good guard play as well. It just seems like night in and night out, this UAH team is getting tested in a lot of different ways from a lot of different teams here in this conference.
Absolutely. I mean, what Coach Carroll's done there is really impressive. I mean, I looked back at their schedule, and 2 years ago that team won 2 games, and last year in his first year had a winning record, and this year they're competing to be an NCAA tournament team and at the top of the GSC. So they're really talented, led by Jalen Page, but it's not just him. I mean, Caleb Terry down low, I don't think he missed a shot against us and had 10 points and was really effective. Jakari Johnson, number 3 for them, can really get going from 3. Mateo Esmeraldo, I don't know how many points he had the second half, but he was so effective driving the ball down in there, being physical almost, even though he's not the biggest player, posting up and having those bump, shot fake, step through type finishes. We really struggled with him. I think they scored 52 against us in the second half, beat us by 8. But it was to your point, kind of the antithesis of Lee, just with their pace, in the full court and in the half court. They play with such great pace offensively. They're a really, really efficient team. They guard us a little bit different, so it was a different approach there, and it was a good test for us. And I think they'll win a lot more games. Both of those teams will, Lee and Tribeca.
And Coach, we know it's always tougher on the road. I know you've been watching film. What have you seen growth-wise out of Delta State as you face them coming up tonight at 7:30, since you played them back in the latter part of December?
Well, number 1, KB Brooks will be back, number 4 for them. He didn't play against us at home and averaged over 20 a game. So he's a really good player. That will make a huge difference in the game. And then, they have won 5 games in a row. They're playing with a lot of confidence. They like to pressure and turn people over. They're second in the league in steals. They're second in the league in turnover margin. They do that at a really, really high level. So offensively for us, we're going to have to value the ball. That's something that I think they've continued to improve in since last time we played them, is baiting you into turnovers and you think this pass is open and it's not, and peel switching and creating confusion. And then offensively, I think when you look at the numbers, it's pretty staggering to look at the 3-point attempts. I think they've taken 675 threes on the year and only given up like 300 threes attempted by opponents. So they shoot over half their shots are threes, which is scary because every player on their team shoots threes. And anytime you play a team like that, they can put up a huge number. They get to the foul line a lot. They offensive rebound well. And then I think they just have some really good individual players, led by Chris Terrell. When I look back at our game, again, the second half, we allowed him to get comfortable. He got going and scored a huge number. Samuel Whitmer, number 23, got going. I think he made 4 threes in the game. And anytime you allow those guys to get comfortable and gain some confidence and get in a rhythm, and then combined with we started turning the ball over, they can outscore you and put up a big number. So it'll be a game that we will have to be extremely disciplined and poised and on balance and not allow them to get sped up and try to navigate, being conservative with all those things while also being aggressive and trying to take advantage of their pressure, but picking our spots.
For the most part, have you been pleased? I know the numbers have been decent, but have you been pleased with the way you guys have been handling and taking care of the basketball so far?
I have, as of late. I feel like the first half of the season, it was pretty consistent message. Hey guys, we're turning over too much. I think we've gotten better in that area with some of our decision making. I think some of that is just with a little bit of a different style. There comes some kinks to work out, and some time takes care of some of that. But I am pretty pleased for the most part. I think when you do look at the numbers, when we take care of the ball and reach our turnover goals and whatnot, we're much more efficient, which is obvious, right? Obviously, if you take care of the ball, you can get shots up and whatnot, but it is pretty drastic when we meet our turnover goals. Our efficiency numbers go way up. So hopefully we can continue that trend and do a good job in that area tonight.
And then, Coach, I know a lot of times in this conference, you have a few days off in between games. So in many cases, you prepare for two opponents because you have a short period of time to get ready to play at Mississippi College over there. And I know it's a different kind of venue. I've been calling it the big golf ball, the way it looks outside. I've never been inside of it. I've heard about the echoes and all the things Scott and Steve have told me. It's a tough place to play, but what about Mississippi College have you seen as you kind of preview that game a little bit after you play Delta?
Yeah, I haven't dug into them quite as much, obviously, as Delta. I've heard all about the venue.
No doubt.
So I think that will be a challenge. The biggest thing that I think about them is Rashad Bolden. I mean, he is. I think he was just GSC Player of the Week. He is as prolific of a scorer as we've seen in our league. It will be hard to go from, for example, Delta, who pressures you, switches everything from a defensive standpoint, and then it will be attacking a totally different style against Mississippi College with less pressure, they're more getting through screens, guard ball screens differently. So it will be, some weeks we get pretty lucky and both games are pretty consistent in their prep. This is not one of those weeks. So I think that will be a challenge combined with, guarding one of the best players in the league. Always presents a lot of, debate in how we guard him, we're not going to stop a guy like that. You just got to try to make him uncomfortable. You got to try to limit what he wants to do and try to make things as difficult as you can, and multiple bodies and that type of thing for him. So those are, in the early phases of that prep, a couple things that stand out.
Well, Coach, I know it probably doesn't get talked a lot about, but and this program has had a lot of milestone moments, getting to back-to-back Elite Eights and, winning Gulf South Conference championships and everything. But tonight, this team has a chance to put its name in the record books with a 21st straight win. With everything that this program and over the years has accomplished in your first year, I mean, you have a chance to put something into the books with a 21st straight win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm really proud of our team for allowing us to be in that position. I think when we met our very first team meeting of the year, we had two words: process and brotherhood, that we wanted to be about, that we wanted to hang our hat on. And from the process standpoint, we wanted to embrace the process to allow us to be as good as we can possibly be at the end of the year. And we'll know that regardless of results, where we end, how far we go, all those types of things, that we can look back and have peace of mind in that. So I don't want to downplay the streak or the record or anything like that at all. We've really taken the approach of keeping our hands to the plow. It's about the next game. It's about the next game. It's what we can learn from our previous game and embracing just a consistent approach and being hungry to improve. And then, once we're done plowing, once the season's over, we'll look back in reflection and appreciate those moments more. And I think that's the case. If we lose tonight, like, everything that we want to achieve is still ahead of us, right? And it's the same if we win. Everything we want to achieve is still ahead of us, and we have to be hungry for that. So of course, we're honored to be in this position. It's not something that we talk about. Our guys are smart and all read and know, but we're trying to just, again, focus on the important things of, hey, ultimately it comes down to when the lights come on, we're in between the lines. It's who can execute better at what we're trying to do, and we're trying our very best to just control that and allow that to be our mentality.
It's going to be Steve and Scott on the call at Delta State tonight. It's going to be a 7:30 tip, and then on Saturday in Clinton, Mississippi, 4 p.m. We're going to tune in as they're going to be bringing you UAH Charger basketball. And Coach, my final small question. We had a listener text in. We've been talking about distance running today on the show, and I know you played for Kurt Jonas and Rick Byrd. Did you ever have to run the mile, Coach?
Oh yeah. We ran. We used to we would run. I don't know how familiar you are with Belmont's campus, but we would have to run outside the Belmont Boulevard and back, which is about 3 miles.
Oof. Okay.
For a certain time. Most of our conditioning in college was on the court, but we would do that occasionally. And then in high school, we would run the mile for time with Coach Jonas and Coach Tracy Hogan at Crossville. So we've done it a lot. Luckily, I was a big, and Big had more time to run than the guard. So I'm thankful for those few extra seconds allowed. I needed every one of them.
And see, Coach Drew is also a Duke fan, and I got a kick out of your story yesterday. You were telling us about your time as a player at Belmont, getting to play at Duke, and how much fun it was to play in Cameron.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was. I was very fortunate as a player to play both at Duke and at Kansas. Duke was more electric. It was their home opener. It was part of the Maui Invitational, even though it was not in Maui, obviously. It was the 2011-12 season. I'll never forget because we played on 11-11-11.
Oh, wow.
It was their
cool
home opener. Like I said, I walk on the floor, for pregame about 70, 75 minutes before tip. And I think the Cameron Crazies had been camping out for multiple days, and they were already completely sold out, going nuts over an hour before the game would begin. And they had signs, and my parents who were there found one of their little student section scouting reports that had, information about every player from social media or whatnot, with our, girlfriend's name and, different, hobbies and things like that. So they would rip us, just the entire warm up, just ripped us personally. It was pretty incredible. And we almost beat them. They beat us by 1.
Wow.
And we made a huge comeback in the second half. The Plumlee brothers were on that team, Austin Rivers. I mean, it was very memorable, and very thankful I was able to be a part of that game.
No doubt. Well, Coach, good luck to you.
Belmont's played Duke twice. Wow. One was in the 2008 NCAA tournament, and they lost by 1.
Yes, I remember that game very well. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Belmont should have won that game.
Yep. So 2 games, lost by 1 in both games, but we'll see if they ever get another crack at them.
Absolutely. Well, good luck to you, Coach.
Yep.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Mick Hedgepeth, kind enough to spend time with us. How about that, Drew? How about that
That's some good stories right there. I remember watching that first Belmont game thinking my bracket's screwed. Belmont's winning this game, but Duke found a way.
Let's get that. Well, I tell you what, it's 55.
Johnny Boy just threw up his hands like, hey, let's just roll it out.
Let's just go out.
Hey, that was worth that story. Come on.
He told us that yesterday. And I did not realize it. And his eyes lit up when he started talking about playing in Cameron, how cool it was.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine that? Getting to play at Duke and at Kansas.
That's awesome.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're here. We're not in Kansas, and we're not in, sure in the hell ain't in Durham. We're in Cleveland, Mississippi.
Enjoy Cleveland, Mississippi. And then the big golf ball over there.
Yeah, we're in the bougie part of Cleveland.
Yeah, there we go.
It's upgraded. There's a
Enjoy
restaurant
Delta
next to our
State.
hotel.
Enjoy Mississippi College.
Yeah. All right. Have fun. Hey, by the way, Huntsville High in action. You got
Tonight.
basketball.
Area tournament. Come check them out because Austin already went home. James Clemens upset them. Huntsville taking on Grissom tonight at 6. And then Albertville and Sparkman.
Let's talk about the X's and O's of family entertainment. Every parent in Alabama knows the importance of being able to draw up an activity that'll get you out of the house for a couple of hours. But it needs to be affordable. It needs to be family friendly. Above all, it needs to be